everyone. Greetings of the day. I hope you all have been enjoying the Saturday so far. And to make your Saturday here, we are with our third workshop. And this time we had almost 1,000 participants, and we were, I don't know, I don't even have words right now. Thank you for showing so much of enthusiasm. It motivates us in building more such delightful and interesting workshops. So the last two workshops we had was on portfolio design and on job hunting as young designers. Both of them are live on YouTube. You can go check it out, ProApp Learn Design channel on YouTube. You can watch it over there. Okay, so without any further ado, let's begin. I'm Rashika, the CMO at ProApp, and also I lead the content team here. So the past two workshop was also hosted by me, and this time also I'm here to entertain you guys or maybe introduce the speaker of the day. Okay, so let me introduce you to today's speakers. She's a very special guest. Her name is Kanika. Kanika is the head of design at Procreator, and she herself is an engineer turned designer. So kind of she has been in both the boards. She know how the product is to be designed from the entire process, how the requirements are gathered, to how they are designed, and till the time they are actually developed and you get to see your end results. So I think let's hear it from Kanika why we should wait anymore.
Thank you so much, Rashika, for the great introduction. And a very warm welcome to everyone. I'm so glad you could join me today and take out some time from your weekend and spend some time with me to learn more about UX design. I assume since today you're on the call, you have some idea about what is UX design, or you just are keen to learn more about it. But in any case, I'm going to guide you and I'm going to tell you what exactly is UX design. So let's get started. Like Rashika already introduced me really well, I am an engineer turned designer. I'm going to be talking more about my career journey very shortly. So I'm just going to move ahead for now. So since we are all over here, let's talk about what is this workshop all about. First of all, we're going to learn what is user experience design. That's the main gist of this workshop, isn't it? Then I'm going to be talking about my journey in depth about how I made the switch to UX design. And then I'm going to guide you about how you can learn UX design, answer some common questions about switching to UX, landing your first job as a designer, then giving you some tips, and then we're going to come up with a Q&A session. So since we're on the topic of Q&A, Zoom has a very good feature, which is the Q&A feature. Throughout this workshop, whenever you have any queries, please post it in the Q&A section. And our team will constantly be on there and answering all your questions. And in case they feel that some question is really interesting and I should personally answer it, they will shortlist that. And towards the end, we'll go and address all those questions. So let's get into it. Before we get into it, I have a very nice quote over here. Design is just not what it looks like and feels like, design it how it works. This is by the very great Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple, and Apple is a very big industry leader. All of you are aware. Something can look very pleasing, but in the end, if it does not work, then what is the use even of it? So that's what we are here for, solving the user's needs. That's user experience. So let's look at the definition of user experience design. IDF defines it as the process design teams use to create and provide meaningful and relevant experiences to users. This involves the design of the process of acquiring and integrating the product, including aspects of branding, design, usability, and function. Well, as a definition, this is pretty accurate. But if I'm someone who had no idea about UX and I'm just taking the switch, this doesn't really tell me what is user experience. As someone who's experienced, I definitely agree that this is a great definition. But let's stay away from definitions and technical, theoretical terms for this workshop, and let's dive into the basics. So user experience is everywhere. Right from this cup that I have, like why does the cup have a handle? So that I can hold it, and when you're having your favorite tea or coffee, it's not hot and you can enjoy it. Let me just take a sip. It was so easy. But why does a glass does not have a handle? Because usually glasses are used to have something cold or a glass of water, and you don't really need a handle. It's just easier to grip it the way it is. So like I said, there is design in everything. So some daily objects like a door. How many times have you got confused that the door was push or pull? You thought it was a push action and you tried to pull it and got embarrassed that, oh, this is not clear. So ideally a door, if it's confusing and it does not convey what it's supposed to do, is called a Norman door. It's a very famous term which is familiar with everyone in user experience, and it's coined by Don Norman, who has written a very great book about the design of everyday things, which is like a Bible for UX designers. So essentially, similarly, have you gone on a vacation and you've gone to the washroom, tried to turn on the shower, turn on the tap instead, or you wanted cold water and suddenly hot water came instead? Isn't it confusing trying to figure out the shower at new places at hotels? So, well, if you have gone and easily identified, that's great. That means that shower had the good user experience. But if you got confused, be it a shower or a door or a digital app, then that's a bad user experience. And our aim as user experience designers is always to provide a good experience and leave our users happy and keep coming back. So let's get a little into the concepts. Let me explain you what is user experience. So user experience does not have to be just for digital products. It's for everywhere. Like I said, the coffee mug, the shower, the door. But when you look at jobs, it's mostly with respect to the digital domain. And when you're applying for jobs also, when they say user experience designer, they are referring to someone who's in the digital domain. So what is user experience in digital products? Firstly, the product should meet the user's needs. And this is the most important aspect. If the product does not meet the user's need, then it's as good as it's useless, and all the money that is invested in it is like useless as well. So firstly, always meet the user's needs. Secondly, it should be easy to learn. If you make an awesome product, but it needs like a manual of 50 to 100 pages to understand, no one's going to do it. Everyone is living in a fast-paced world and users don't have time. We don't want to invest in learning new things. So hence, it should be made such that just by looking at it, you know what is the functionality and what do you have to do in order to use it properly. That's the second most important aspect. The third aspect is control and freedom. Don't restrict the users. You have to give them options. Don't we all like options? When we go to Starbucks, try to order a coffee, if they say that no, you can just have the Frappuccino, they're not going to get customers. They have a menu, but they have a set menu, not to confuse users. So they still give you control and freedom, but at the same time, they guide the users in some form. So always give control and freedom to the users to make their own decisions, because the user has various needs. One day he needs something and the second day he needs something else. And lastly, as an added bonus, if there's an aspect of fun and delight, then the users will keep coming back. In case you are a little overwhelmed and don't understand what this is, don't worry. I'm going to break it down even further for you and simplify it. Let's take a practical example. I hope everyone loves pizza. I certainly do. So let's say you are hungry and you want to order pizza. Well, after this workshop, I certainly am. And so what am I going to do? I'm going to pull up my phone, open the app. For example, let's take the Domino's app. So Domino's app, they let you order pizza. That's my need. I'm hungry. I want to eat pizza, and they are fulfilling that. So it's satisfying the first aspect, which is meeting the user's needs. Secondly, once I open the app, this is the first screen that I see. So by looking at it, it's evident that here I can just click on it, add to cart, and the order is going to be placed. And that's very easy to understand. I don't really need a guide over here. Second aspect is satisfied. Third one, control and freedom. So you can see on top, this pizza has olives on it. I personally am not a fan of olives. If someone else over here is, no offense, but I don't like it. And every pizza has something which I don't like. So I like to make mine with my favorite toppings. Like the first one you see over here is mushroom. I actually like mushroom. So I want to customize the margherita pizza by adding mushrooms to it. So they let me do that, which is great. I can select my own toppings because not everyone is going to like every topping. And they even give the option to add extra cheese. Well, isn't every day a cheat day? Let's go ahead and add that extra cheese too. So now the third aspect is satisfied. Now finally, while your order is being curated, there is usually a loading sign which comes up. If you remember, or if not, a circular symbol comes up when it's loading. This app has it slightly different. Oh, it's a pizza. They didn't have to do that. But just having the aspect of a pizza in the form of a loader just adds that aspect of fun to it. And I'm going to definitely remember that. So that's how the Domino's app is satisfying all the aspects. So let's recap. A good digital product and a good user experience should meet the user's needs. It should be easy to learn, have a very small learning curve. It should provide you control and freedom and add an aspect of fun and delight. Great. Now that everyone knows what is UX, let's talk about my journey. Since this whole workshop is about career switch to UX, I am someone who has personally done that and I've been there. I'm just going to spend some time talking about my journey. I have a degree in computer engineering. I took science and then decided that I want to do engineering. After engineering, I worked as a front-end developer for 2.5 years. And at that point, within the first year itself, I knew that this is not something that I want to do for the rest of my life. I liked it, but I didn't love it. I wanted something that I like and I want to do for the rest of my life. Then came the hard part of figuring out what should I do. It's very scary and overwhelming figuring out what to do with your career if you don't enjoy your current one. I started researching, did a lot of Google research. I had a UX designer on my team, got a little more interested on it, tried to Google. That's the first thing that we do, go and Google. I went and Googled what is UX, took some free courses, seemed interesting to me, but most of those courses were theoretical and I didn't really get the aspect of what does a UX designer do at the job. That's when I started searching for offline courses. So me personally, I just wanted someone to be there for that aspect of accountability. If I had to learn UX on my own, I could do it, but I didn't have a timeline to it. And me personally, how I work better if I have some assignments to submit or some deadline or someone standing on the top of my head telling me you need to get this done, I just work better. I need that sense of pressure to be present. So I found a course that worked for me, wherein I could work as a front-end developer on the weekdays and on the weekends study UX design. I went ahead and did that. 3 months into that course, I realized that I like this and I definitely want to do this. That's when I quit my job. I spent the next 3 to 4 months just focused on learning UX. And that's when, once I was confident and the course was done, I started working on my portfolio. After that, the whole job hunting and job application process began. And after that, I found a perfect fit for me, which was Procreator. And that's where I am right now. I started as a senior UX designer, and since this workshop has gone live recently, just a week back, I got promoted. And right now, currently, I am the head of design. So I would like to believe I'm doing something right. Well, hopefully. So as a job as a UX designer, I have done a lot of things at Procreator. UX, UI, and even other things like voiceovers, video editing, content writing. That's something I enjoy. So I was very happy to get different disciplines that I could work on. Before I get further into this, you might see I've hyphenated this. So there is UX and then there is UI design. When you will apply for jobs, you'll mostly see either they're asking for a UX designer or UX UI designer or even a product designer. Now, what is all this? Isn't this a bit confusing? Well, these terms are very loosely used and they're interchanged with each other. Someone who's a UX designer is more focused on the research part and understanding the user's needs and meeting the business goals and satisfying and making a structure for the product. Whereas a UI designer focuses more on the aesthetics, the colors, the branding, the illustrations, the interaction design, and making a product that is aesthetically pleasing to the user. And someone who's a product designer does both end to end, as well as keeps the business's needs in mind and engages with the users. You don't have to be both a UX and a UI designer. Most jobs expect you to do both, but there are jobs which ask you just to specialize in one. And it's totally fine if you just want to specialize in only UX design or UI design. Personally, I do both, but I definitely am stronger at UX than I am at UI. So even if you do both, you will have a stronger point and one that you enjoy more. But at your job, you will be doing both. And it's great because you get to work on different aspects. Personally, I want to work on both. And that's why I would call myself as a UX and UI designer. So this was about my journey. Let's move on and talk about how to learn UX. There are a few steps involved in learning UX design. The first thing is start by taking an online course. If you're interested in UX or have already learned UX but want to make it as your profession, you need to invest time in a proper course and learn it. So if you just Google search UX design, you'll find a lot of courses, but it gets a little overwhelming. Which one is good, where to go and learn? I'm going to narrow it down for you. Firstly, you can go and learn UX on ProApp. So ProApp has this really good concept about making content digestible, consumable in the form of bite-sized content. When you're trying to learn something new, if you're just given pages and pages of theory, it becomes so difficult to understand. So they highlight all the things that you need to know in a concise manner, and that's really good as a starting point. We have a few courses like UX Fundamentals, UX Research, UX Design, Mobile UX Design, and UX Writing. Go ahead, take the courses. They have a free version too. Try it out. And I have some insider information. A lot more exciting courses are coming. So you should definitely download the ProApp. If you're someone who has no idea about UX and just wants to learn it in a little more depth, Career Foundry has this free email course. What you have to do is just click on this link. Don't worry, all the links that I have mentioned over here, we'll be sharing those with you over the chat. Just go ahead and click on it and register for it. You will get emails every day for 6 days. They talk about what is UX, what are the careers in UX, what will be your roles and responsibilities. And it's quite in-depth with text, videos, and quizzes. So it gives you a very good grasp about what is UX design. And if you're someone like me who cannot wait for one course every day, click on this link above and it gives you the homepage wherein you can go and see all 6 days worth of content in one shot. So if you're a fast learner, go ahead, learn all of it in one day. It's totally up to the pace at which you want to learn. Moving forward, this course, User Experience Design Essentials by Daniel Walter Scott, is really good. So when I was personally making the switch, this is one course that I did. It's not a free course. That's one thing to keep in mind. It's paid, but it's quite minimal, and I would recommend it. The way he teaches it is he teaches UX design with the help of a software, which is Adobe XD in this case. So while the different lessons of this course are taught, there's a sample project also that he uses to teach you the courses. So what happens is you learn UX, you learn the software, as well as by the end of the course, if you diligently did all the assignments, you'll have one thing ready for your portfolio, which was great. So if you're really confused about which course to do, I would recommend this. It's a video course, but keep in mind, if you have no idea about UX and just want to learn more, then please go ahead for one of the other 2 free courses that I spoke about. And once it really interests you, then invest time in this paid course, because it is a long course and it's paid. So when you're really sure that you want to learn UX, go ahead for this one. Next, you should talk to a UX designer. Whenever you're making the switch, if you talk to a design professional who's working in that field, obviously they're going to give you more insights about what they do as a job, what things you should know, where is UX design heading. It's really important to know that. And well, you're in luck. I am a UX designer. So if you just want to talk to a UX designer, if you want help taking mock interviews, and firsthand want to understand what a job interview feels like, you want to familiarize yourself with the interview process, just be more confident, or get your portfolio reviewed, you can have a mock interview with me. Or if you want to have a career coffee chat, just general consultation about what a career in UX design is, receive feedback about your personal projects, and just talk UX. Want to learn more about my journey or want to talk about anything UX related? I'm here for it. ProApp has come up with this very great concept, which is booking a session. So if you want to talk to a professional, you want to talk to me, just book a session via ProApp. Email hello@proapp.design, and they'll be able to guide you with the next steps. And before that, I'm already going to give you a sneak peek. So these are some of the questions UX designers get asked, that what does a day in your work life look like? What skills are essential to be a UX designer? What do you like about your job? This is something you can ask any of your fellow connections who are a UX designer. And since I'm nice, let me help you out. I'm going to answer one of these questions for you. I'm going to talk about what my day as a UX designer looks like. Let's go on. So first thing, as a design professional, you have to check your emails. That's the first thing I do. Check about any updates, any upcoming tasks, any feedback from the client that has been received, or any meetings that are coming up. After I've gone through that and planned my day, then you will have team collaboration sessions. So this image that you see about here with all the smiling faces are the team at Procreator. This is an image from when we were celebrating 5 years of Procreator. It was a great day where we celebrated Procreator as well as the accomplishments of the company and the team. So essentially, the world is moving remote, and you're going to have a lot of meetings. And even if you're working from office, you will have meetings wherein you have to discuss about upcoming projects, any feedback, any planning sessions, or just brainstorm together. That is a part of being a UX designer. You cannot work in silo. You have to work in collaboration with various stakeholders. So that is an important aspect of my day, meetings and team collaboration sessions. Research. As a UX designer, research will definitely be a part of your job. Research can be of various kinds. We won't get into the details right now, but I can definitely touch upon it. So whenever a new project has been launched, you have to research about the product, the competitors, what's already out there, the users, if there are any existing users. And if not, if it's a new product, you need to research about what do the users actually want. So throughout the product lifecycle, there is research involved. And once you actually make the designs, make the wireframes, make the product, after that, there's again validation. So you made the product with certain assumptions, but now you need to validate, are your assumptions correct? Are the users actually happy with this? Do they have any pain points? And then you reiterate. Reiteration is a part of any product lifecycle. So at multiple stages of the product, you will have to research. That's a part and parcel of your job as a UX designer. Wireframes. So some of you might already be familiar with the concept of wireframes. What happens? Okay, I did some research. I made some conclusions about what the users want. Now it's time to get to the drawing board and design the application. The screenshot that I have over here is of a blog. The homepage for a blog was supposed to be designed. I had certain ideas. The client had certain requirements that they want to feature some particular articles, have one main featured article and have some smaller featured articles. I thought about that, made some quick sketches and sketched it out. And this is the wireframe. Wireframe doesn't always have to be pen paper, but it's good to get started with pen and paper. That's the easiest way to validate, and it requires the least efforts. Once they are done, then it moves on to digital wireframes. So wireframes is the structure where you are thinking about all the functionality, where everything goes. Once you have made the wireframes, got the approval from the necessary people, then you move on to UI design. Now, if you see the screenshot that I had, that's been converted into UI design now, where there's an article on the top left, which is big, and there are 5 articles on the right, which are smaller, and they are also featured, but the one on the left has more importance. This was converted to UI design, and this is actually live right now. So I worked right from the ideation to the final UI design. After that, there is planning. Planning is a very important aspect of the job. When you're a UX designer, or any professional for that matter, there are going to be deadlines, and those deadlines are something which you decide. You have to tell by when a certain feature will be developed, when will you complete the designs. So when you are starting out, don't be too worried. You just have to estimate about your tasks. But if something is supposed to take 2 hours, you can't say it'll take a day. Estimate it properly. It comes with time, and your seniors will guide you. While starting out, you just plan for yourself. Then you plan for your team members, multiple projects as you climb up the ladder. Right now, the stage where I'm at, I plan for multiple people and multiple projects. That's a very important aspect of what I do. Now, what I have spoken about here, this is not how each day of mine looks, but these tasks are something which I find myself doing quite often. And these are my core responsibilities. But every day cannot be mirrored. There are some additional things that come up, some things which get added, some things which get subtracted. Some days I just have to focus on the research aspect. Some days I just focus on the UI, but these are the core responsibilities that I do as a UX designer. I hope this gave you some more insights about what a UX designer does. And definitely, if you want to learn more, you can connect with me and I can help you through it. Great. Now, what stage where we are at, you have learned what is UX design with the help of a course. You have possibly networked and spoken to a UX designer. The next thing is mastering a design tool. It's very important that you know at least one tool. There are a lot of good tools present out there. And well, the good news is you don't need to learn all of them. All of the tools which are present for UX design are quite similar. Just learn one, master it. And once you've learned one, it's very easy to adopt and learn other tools. There are 2 tools which I will recommend, Figma and Adobe XD. Both of them have a free plan. So when you're starting out, you can just take the free plan. You don't need to invest in the paid one. And once you are starting to work as a professional, definitely go for the paid ones. They have a lot of additional features, but it's good enough to be on the free plan while you're exploring, learning, and starting out. Figma has been gaining a lot of traction, and a lot of design teams are moving to Figma. We at Procreator personally use Figma, so I would definitely recommend that. Figma has a lot of tutorials available on YouTube, and they teach you the basics within half an hour. That's good enough. So you can just go on YouTube and type how to learn Figma. You'll find a great deal of tutorials which will help you through it. Adobe XD is desktop-based tool, and over there, their official website has a great collection of tutorials for their software. So in case you want to learn Adobe XD, just go to their official site. And if you choose to take the course which I recommended a few minutes back by Daniel Walter Scott, that course by default will teach you Adobe XD. So just take your pick. It doesn't really matter. Choose one software that you like and is supported by your operating system. Go ahead and master it. Great. Now we have learned design. We have mastered a software. Is that enough? Can I become a UX designer? Well, yes and no. To become a UX designer, you need some more soft skills and additional skills which give you that edge and make you a better professional and help you work as a UX designer. How do you get to know all of these? Just go and look at job postings. Search UI UX designer or product designer for that matter. And there are certain things they mention. Over here, I just have an example posting for a junior UX UI designer. Let's skip the about us and go to the job description section. Let's read what they're looking for. We are looking for creatives who can visualize, this is the UI aspect, build and analyze solutions, This is the UX aspect for real world problems. Someone who's empathetic, very important. As a UX designer, you have to be empathetic and think what the users want and what the user's end goal is. So empathy is an important aspect of a UX designer. And play the trick with the simplest solution in hand. Great. Don't overcomplicate things, simplify it. We appreciate and love new approaches with adequate research in hand. As a UX and UI designer in our team, you will be part of a fast-paced and forward-thinking team of like-minded designers with a passion for design and problem solving. Again, then another important aspect, problem solving, you should have good analytical skills. A knack for design, aesthetics, usability, turning ideas and wireframes. You remember we just spoke about wireframes a few minutes back, into awesome user interfaces. User interface is the UI aspect, ranging from landing pages, applications, and mobile apps. So very important again, as a UX and UI designer, you're not going to design for just one screen, not just a mobile app or just a web application. You have to know how to design for different screens. You need to know responsive design. So you can take that away from this particular posting. Web, mobile, iPad, these are some of the common screens, but definitely there are others like the Apple Watch and the display that you have on the refrigerator, any digital screen for that matter. Let's move on. Together, we will engineer and design good-looking, aesthetically pleasing, and functionally create applications that deliver a pleasant user experience. Okay, some things that we learned from here. Let's scroll to the requirement section. Have a bachelor degree, okay, pretty standard. Have designed user interfaces for mobile and web platforms in the past. We just spoke about that. Proficient in either Figma or Sketch, preferable Figma. That's great to tell you which software is used at their company. Familiarity with design systems. Design systems, that's a new word. Do you know what are design systems? If you do, then brownie points for you. If not, don't worry. Basically, when you look at a digital application, certain things are repeated, like buttons, input fields, icons, or even patterns for that matter. Those common things are documented and established in one file, and they are reused throughout the product so that the product can be scaled easily. So all of these guidelines and common components, they are called as design systems. It's very important you maintain that, because as a designer, you have to be able to scale your designs and maintain consistency. That's an important aspect of the job. So in case you're not already aware about what are design systems, go ahead and look into it and research a little. It's fairly easy to understand. Ability to translate a given user experience journey into a visually great and intuitive UI with attention to the finest detail. Like I said, you have to have eye for the final detail. Your designs need to be pixel perfect. In the end, that's what you're getting paid for. There needs to be consistency and pixel perfect. So that's another important aspect of the job. Solid written and verbal communication skills. Communication is an important aspect of a UX designer. You need to understand the requirements, translate it, communicate with developers, with fellow other designers. You are going to be communicating with different people throughout your job. And that is really important. Let's go to the second thing, which is providing insights into design decisions. Again, if I made a screen and I just showed it to you, you're not going to understand anything. You have to explain the thought process and why you took certain decisions. That's another important skill that you need to know. It comes with time, so don't worry about it. Have critical thinking and analytical skills. Again, we briefly spoke about that already. Ability to collaborate with other designers to maintain consistency, like we spoke about. As a UX designer, you can't work in silo, you have to work with a team. So you need to have effective team collaboration skills. Ability to quickly incorporate feedback and efficiently produce high quality work. Feedback is a part and parcel of the job. Very rarely are your designs going to get approved in one shot. There will be iterations, and that's fine. Don't take it too hard. Don't get too attached to your designs. Just listen to the feedback. If it makes sense, go ahead and incorporate it. Because in the end, you don't have to love the designs. The users have to love it. Ability to set, manage, and meet deadlines. Like we spoke about, planning is an important aspect. So you need to know how to set and meet your deadlines and plan for yourself, at least in the starting, and later plan for multiple team members. Someone with a here to help attitude, great, that's what the company wants. Someone who is keen and eager to learn by practice, fair enough, and loves design as much as we do. I think that gave us some more insights about what companies are looking for as a UX designer. Similarly, you can look at any job posting, just go on Glassdoor or LinkedIn, or even just type on Google, and you'll be able to see a lot of job postings. Don't get too overwhelmed. Some job postings mention a lot of requirements. Don't think that that's everything that is needed. Like, you don't need to know coding. This job mentions that you need to know HTML. It's not really a part and parcel of your job as a UX designer. So whatever common things you find across various job posting, list them out. And if you feel something you are lacking at, then work on that. But that's a good place to get started. Just make a checklist, go and check whatever you know, and whatever you don't, find ways to learn it and just add it. It will help you make a better professional and get a job as a UX designer. What I've done is I've gone ahead and listed out certain things you need to know and just made your job easier and save time for you. As a UX designer, you need to be good at communication, time management, content writing, client management, documentation, organization, effective collaboration, professionalism, planning, and project management. Well, you'll be like, okay, Kanika, you're just scaring me and making me want to not switch and learn UX. Don't be worried. For now, I would suggest just focus on learning UX design. Learn the design concept, master the software, and all of this can be learned later too. And just as an added benefit, I am actually going to help you do this. So right now I'm teaching you how to learn design. I will even teach you how to become a proper professional and learn other things apart from design that you need to know as a UX designer. For that, I have a workshop which is coming very soon. So watch out for it, and hopefully I will see you all again for that. And we can learn how to be a well-rounded designer, have the design skills and all the other professional requirements to be a successful UX designer. Now, I personally, and a lot of other UX designers, I'm sure, get some repetitive questions every time. And that's fine. When I myself was making the switch, I had some doubts in my mind, and it's very valid to have them. So what I've gone and done is I have listed out all the common questions, and I'm already going to answer all of those for you. Let's get started. So one thing a lot of you might have in your mind is, can I learn UX design on my own? And the answer to that is definitely, yes, you can. Then the next question which will come up in your mind is, which is better, self-learning or a design school? Which is a very good question. So self-learning is something which you take an online course, it could be free or paid, and you learn design on your own. And in a design school, they guide you through it. They have a curriculum set for it. Which is better? Well, I'm going to say that totally depends on the person. I kind of had a hybrid approach where I had a part-time course which I took, and I did a lot of self-learning on my own because that's just what is better suited for me. But if you're someone who is disciplined, can set deadlines for yourself, go ahead, be a self-learner, learn it on your own. And if you plan to go ahead and go down that route, I have a few tips for you already. One thing what you can do is set a calendar invite for yourself. Set the timings when you want to learn. Fixed timings, could be any time. Let's say for me, it was personally the weekends. So on the weekends, I would dedicate time and learn UX. For you, it could be after your job, if you're making a switch, or if you're studying after your university, between let's say 9 to 10, set a calendar invite, which will remind you that, hey, you need to learn UX design right now. That'll just help you and give you a sense of accountability. After that, you can just set a timeline for when you want to learn certain things. Plan it out. Let's say I'm just starting out. I want to complete that course by Daniel Waters Scott in 1 month. Plan it out and plan your days such that you can accomplish it. Because if you don't set a deadline for yourself, then you're just going to laze around and not go on and get to it. So the important thing is just planning and setting deadlines. And you can definitely learn UX on your own. There are a set of great courses online which go quite in depth and help you understand UX. And if you choose to go ahead the design school route, then what's going to happen is they are going to set deadlines for you. They'll have a set curriculum for you. So you just have to follow it and do all the assignments that they give you. So it's a guided path. If you're someone who needs that guidance, then go ahead for the design school. But definitely design school costs money and time. So if you have the resources, you have the time and you can afford it, go ahead, go to the design school and learn it. But if you're short on time or on resources, don't worry. It's not a problem. You can self-learn. It's totally up to you. Keep in mind, do you have the time? Do you have the resources? And how do you learn best? Think about this. Give it some thought, probably note it down, and then decide which path is correct for you. For me personally, I talk about my experience. I was making the switch after having already worked for 2.5 years. I didn't want to spend more time in a design school, and I was not sure if UX was right for me. At that point, I needed something which I could do on the side with my current job. So I found a solution that worked for me. And in the end, when I was sure, I switched and studied UX full time. So that was something which worked for me. You don't have to mirror that. Just think about the current situation that you're in and then take the right decision for you. I hope that gave you some insights. Now you will be like, the next question which will come to your mind is, okay, I don't have a design degree. I learned UX on my own. Do employers care about that? Are they going to be like, hey, that person has a design degree, I'm going to hire him over you? Answer to that is no. Employers do not care. And I'm not exaggerating. I have been a part of the hiring process too. And I can honestly say, it doesn't matter if you have a design degree or not. Your portfolio is the one that matters, and how you conduct yourself and explain your design decisions during the interview is what matters. So as long as you can establish the skills and justify the decisions that you have made and your design skills are good, no one cares if you have a degree or not. The thing is that if you were in a field like medicine, you have to get a degree. You can't learn it on your own. Well, you can try if you want to, but please don't be offended if you are a self-paced doctor and I choose not to come to you, because I'm going to stick to someone who has a degree, at least in the case of a doctor, because that is what matters. You need years of experience for it, and you need to study in depth and go to a school for that. But design, fortunately for you, is not one of those careers. You can learn it on your own. And no one cares if you have a degree, be it clients or be it employers. They just care about your skills. So what you need to do is work on your portfolio. That's the first thing that employers look at. Then they want to understand your thought process, why you took certain decisions. Why is this button green and not red? They want to know that, because that is something which you'll be doing as a part of your job, making those decisions. Communication, obviously, justifying your decisions and collaborating with a team requires communication. And passion for design, that's what matters. That's all the employers care about. Let's move on to the next question. This is another common question. Do I need to learn coding to be a UX and UI designer? Well, the answer to that is no, you don't need to. it definitely helps to have basic coding knowledge and basic development knowledge, because you know that there are certain restrictions and not every design could be converted and made into a real life application. That helps to know those restrictions and just having that common lingo to talk to the developers. Because be it a UX designer or a UI designer, you are going to talk to developers. So just speaking the language does help, but it is not a necessity. You don't need to know development. I personally come from a development background. I was a front-end developer before that. I do have the basic knowledge of this, and it has definitely helped me having that knowledge. But there are a lot of designers on my team who don't have that development knowledge and don't have those technical skills, but they are equally and if not even better designers than me. So it does not matter if you know development or not. And if a job is asking you to be great at coding and design, then that's not the right fit for you, because design itself is such a vast field. There is so much to learn. So you can't learn and be an expert in design as well as coding. Coding is also very vast and requires you to constantly update yourself and learn a lot. So I would say just pick one of them if both interest you, and be a master of one rather than just being a jack of all trades and a master of none. Choose what interests you. If coding interests you, please go ahead and do that, because that's a great job and it has a lot of demand and requirements that are there in the market. But don't dip your fingers in both the buckets. Stick to one is what I would recommend. A follow-up question is, do you need to know graphic design to be a UX designer? Well, the answer to that is no, you don't. Like development, it helps if you know the basics and certain things you are required to know, which is the basic principles of designs, the layout and typography. You definitely need to know that. But do you need to know how to make illustrations, make banners, do video editing? No, that's not your job. That's a job for graphic designer. Some UX UI designers can do that and they are good at it, but that's because they're interested in it. So if you are interested in it, you want to learn illustration, go ahead and do it. But it is not a necessity. It's good to know, but it's not something which you have to know to be a UX designer. Great. Now we have spoken about what are the common questions. What's the next thing you have done? You have gone and done a course. You have learned a software. You have worked on your other professional skills. Everything is done. Now, what is the next step? It's getting a job as a UX designer. You've invested all the efforts, and now you need to go ahead and get a job. Let's talk about what you need to do for that. First thing is work on your portfolio while you are learning UX. Don't wait for the end. Don't wait for your course to get over and then you work on your portfolio, because portfolio is something which takes time and it's something which cannot be done at the end moment. I personally made that mistake about waiting till the end of my course to work on the portfolio, and it was not the right decision. It took me an additional 2 months to work on the portfolio, and I was definitely regretting my decision about not working on it in the past. So just keep that in mind. Keep working on your portfolio, keep updating it. A portfolio is just a sample of all your design work, whatever you've done. Show a variety of different things. It could be one UX design project, one UI design project, one end-to-end. If you do illustrations, show your illustrations. If you've done some other college project, show that too. But basically, show your best work. Don't clutter it with everything that you do. Don't keep 10 projects in it, because not all of them are going to be your best. If I go and click on one of your project which is not your best work and I don't like it, then you have lost your chance interviewing for that company. Don't clutter your portfolio, just show your best work. And to get a job and to get to that interview round, having 3 to 5 projects is enough, and you can go ahead and then start applying for jobs. After that, once you have showcased your best work, explain the design process. How did you reach to the solution? Just showing an end design is not going to work. You have to explain why you made those decisions, how you reached there, how you traversed the problem, what research did you do. All of that needs to be explained. And that should be explained in a easy to digest manner. If you write paragraphs, no employer is going to go and read that. They don't have the time to spend hours reading the content written in your portfolio. They're going to scan it. So have it in a great visual manner, which is easy to understand. And lastly, make your portfolio scannable. What needs to happen is, realistically, for a job, employers get a lot of applications. And what happens is they don't have the time to go and click and see all of those applications. They're just going to realistically spend 1 to 3 minutes on your portfolio. And within that 1 minute, you need to convince them to go to the interview round. Your portfolio should be something which is easy to remember and something which has enough visuals, text break, and hierarchy that explains the concept. And if they get interested, definitely they're going to go and read more and understand what are the paragraphs that you wrote. But first thing is capturing their interest. So make your portfolio quickly scannable. These are some of the quick tips that I gave you. But if you want to learn how to make a good portfolio and get it to the interview round, we had a great workshop by Sandesh, who's one of the co-founders of Procreator and ProApp, and that is live on the ProApp YouTube channel. Go ahead and listen to it. I personally attended that workshop and it has helped me with a great deal of insights, and some of those is what I spoke about right now. Great. Now you made your portfolio. What is the next step? Is now applying and getting an interview. If you have moved on to the interview round, congrats, your portfolio was selected. First thing that you do when you apply for jobs is you have to post your portfolio link. They are going to ask you, and basis of your portfolio only they'll select you and move you to the next round. So before even applying for jobs, select the type of company that you want to work for. There are a wide range of companies which are available. Now, I'll talk from my personal experience. Since I was making the switch, I was very sure I wanted to work for a design company. There is mainly a design company or a product-based company. In a product-based company, you work on different products and sub-products of one company, and you're involved end-to-end in that product. In design teams and design companies, which are service-based, usually you get to work on different projects, collaborate with different team members, and that is something which I personally wanted to do. So I listed out different design companies, the top companies for where I stay, and I started preparing for those interviews and applied to them. And luckily, I got selected in one of those companies that was on my list. You can do that too. Just put in the work and put in the effort for it. So it's very important, the first company that you work for as a designer, because that's going to establish the base and going to help you move ahead in your career. Be mindful of the type of company that you want to work for, list it down and select and start applying for those companies. Great. Now you have selected and made the list of companies, you have applied for it, you got selected. Usually most companies, they send you a design task. It could be an offline design task, or it could be something they give you on the spot. That's basically to understand your thought process. Now, as a designer, if they just see the end product, they're not going to understand much. So the purpose of them giving a design task is to understand your thought process. There is a lot of debate about if design tasks are essential or not, but let's not get into that. That is something which you will come across when you're applying for a job as a UX designer. You will have to do that. Don't spend too much time on it, but spend enough time where you understand the main problem statement, what is the end results, explain your thought process properly, and that should be enough to move you to the next round. Now you've done the design task and you have the final interview, or you don't even get a design task, you just have an interview round. What you need to do is, before the interview, brush up on your concepts. Something about UX in the theoretical form is definitely going to be asked in the interview. So brush up all your concepts so that you're confident and it does not give a bad impression if you just don't even know the basic answer about UX. Then you should go through some common questions which are asked. It's very easy. Just do a Google search. You'll find all the common questions which are asked, and mentally map out the answer to those questions just so that you feel a little more confident. And lastly, the tip that I would give you is be honest and be confident during the interview. It is very challenging and it can be nervous when you are facing the interview, but interviewers want to select the best candidate and they appreciate a form of honesty. So in case you don't know something, tell them you don't know it, but at least give it a shot. So don't get too afraid. You have put in the work, you have put in hours, weeks, and even months worth of efforts. And it all comes down to that 1 hour interview. Don't let your efforts go to waste. Be confident. Do something that calms you down before the interview and kill it. Hopefully you land your best job. And in case you want more tips about how to land your first job as a UX designer, we had another workshop for that, which was conducted by Aisha, and it is live on the YouTube channel for ProApp. You can go ahead and look at that recording too. So we spoke about a lot of things today. I'm almost towards the end of my session, but don't go away yet. I have some great tips coming up, and that's what I'm going to talk about right now. So when you're making the switch, it can be overwhelming. It can be scary. You will have a lot of doubts in your mind. I have been there. I have been in your shoes. I know how it is. I have a few tips to give you from my experience, as well as others who have made that switch, who have interacted with. The most important thing is practice. Design is a skill which gets better with time and with practice. You have to dedicate your time and efforts in practicing. Look at references online, try to replicate them initially, try to break down things. If there is a product, go and look at the screen and think, why have they made this particular decision? Why is this a checkbox and not a radio button? Try to break down the solution. And if you have the time and you have the resources where you can talk to another UX designer, ask them to explain the thought process behind those decisions, and you'll understand why they did certain things. So practice, and develop those analytical skills for your UX design job. After that, the important thing is to publish your work and learnings. Throughout, when you're learning design, publish your work. Don't wait for it to be perfect. Keep publishing it. There are a lot of good design platforms like Dribbble, Behance, and even Instagram for that matter. Instagram is gaining a lot of traction. Just post your work on any social media platform and be open to feedback. Once you post your work, get it out there, you'll be more confident, and it will slowly and gradually build your portfolio. And like we spoke about some time back, do set a deadline for yourself. If you just think you're going to learn UX eventually, that's never going to happen. Or it will happen, but it will not happen within the time frame which is beneficial for you. So you should set a deadline for yourself. Find an accountability partner if possible. What do I mean by that? If you have someone else who is going through that journey, just go and message them, see if they're open to be interacting with you, and you can learn together. You can set deadlines for yourself, or you can tell your accountability partner that, hey, I'm working on learning design systems right now, and I plan to do it within 2 weeks. Your accountability partner can check in on you after 2 weeks, and you can tell them what you learned. In this way, they are learning something from it, and you are also getting something out of it. So we as humans it's very easy for us to disappoint ourselves, but we are scared to disappoint someone else. So having that accountability partner just puts that sense of responsibility in our head, and we will go and do a particular task. Otherwise, we might just go ahead and procrastinate. So if it's possible, find that accountability partner. And if you feel that you don't know anyone who's there in the design field who is going through that journey, there are a lot of design communities which are available. Network. One is available by ProApp itself. There's a Slack community which is available. Go ahead, join that, talk to different individuals, network. It's important that you network so that you build your design community connections. You can talk to them about design, anything that you're stuck at. And don't think that bigger people, like let's take Chris Do, for example, are going to respond to your message. Well, he might. And if he did, that's good for you. But a lot of designers, speaking for myself too, we are working on multiple things. And after our job, we don't have time to reply to all the messages. Don't be disheartened if they don't reply. Rather than just reaching out to famous designers and expecting them to help you out, just look at all their posts. They give a lot of tips. Listen to design podcasts. Watch YouTube videos. A lot of great tips are present on that. And if not, just network with someone who is going through that journey, same as you are. It's really going to help you out. For me, I had that in the form of the course that I was taking. There were 5 other individuals who were learning UX and were at the same pace and same position as me. So whatever difficulties we were facing, anything that we found which was useful, or any issues that we had, we could speak to each other. And that really helped me out. So definitely I would recommend networking, and it could be just one other person that you speak to. It will definitely help you out. And lastly, create your portfolio and just apply for entry-level jobs. Don't wait for it to be perfect. Get an internship even for that matter. A lot of companies are willing to give you internships for a monthly duration where they will let you work on live applications and live projects. That's going to really help you learn. Design is something which you learn better on the job and through real world problems that you have to solve rather than just dummy projects. That's going to help you a lot. So just make your portfolio ready and apply for jobs, and don't get disheartened. You will find your best fit for you and it is going to work out for you. So before I conclude, I just have another point to add is UX is a field which is quite in demand right now, and a lot of people are making that switch. But don't do it if it's just something that you enjoy, making illustrations or doing video editing. That is not UX design. UX is thinking about the user, solving problems, and not getting too attached to your designs. And it is the kind of job where you'll be working on different industries. You're not going to work on just one industry, and there is not going to be one set template for you. You can't just go ahead and copy the solution of an existing app. That's not UX design. You have to use your ideas, you have to brainstorm, you have to be on your toes, and you have to validate your decisions. If that's something which you don't enjoy, then probably UX is not right for you. But if you really enjoy the challenge, solving problems, making sure the user's needs are satisfied, making the experience enjoyable for them, and keep making them coming back, and just in the form of UI design too, if you enjoy establishing the brand language, making a product pleasing, then UX is definitely right for you. If you're still unsure, then like I said, you can book a session, you can talk to me, or you can talk to any other designers, and they'll be gladly ready to help you out. And if not that too, just take a free course, take a course which is quite in depth, that will help you understand if UX is right for you. And once you're quite sure, just take that entry-level job, do it. UX gets better with time. I am definitely not the same designer that I was even a year back for that matter. You constantly evolve. And I definitely love UX design, and I have found it something which I want to continue to do for the rest of my life. And I'm hoping UX can be the same for you. I hope you learned something from this session and you enjoyed it. And in case you have any more queries, you can reach out to me, you can book a session. If not, I'm happy. If you took away even one thing from this session, do let me know your feedback. You can reach out to me on my social media channels. I'm present on Instagram and LinkedIn. I'd be glad to know your feedback for this session. And again, thank you so much for everyone for joining me for this session and taking some time out of your day to connect with me and discuss UX. So now I'll be open to any Q&A and any questions that you might have.
Okay. Oh my God, Kanika, that was one amazing workshop, and you can't even, I can't even think of so many questions and chats we have from individuals. They were like super charged up and super prepared for this particular workshop. And I think you should have a cup of water. You've been speaking continuously for 1.5 hours now. I think we have almost 20 minutes now, right? There are so many questions, and people are like, I don't know, they just lined up. We picked up some 10 questions. We'll start with those. If you need a minute, you can let me know, and then we can start.
Sure. I'm all charged of Rashika. Let's go ahead with the questions.
Okay. So the first one is that maybe does UX design work alone or as a team?
So UX, that's a great question. UX designers, you will rarely find yourself working alone. It's always as a team. It could be with stakeholders. You will be interacting with the client who's trying to build something for their business. Or even if you're not directly interacting with the client, you will be interacting with other designers, and you'll be interacting with graphic designers who will make the illustrations or the interactions. You'll even be interacting with content designers, and you will be interacting with developers. What is the need of the design? In the end, it cannot be developed and made live. So you will definitely be interacting with developers. So as a UX designer, you definitely need to be a part of a team and communicate and interact with multiple individuals.
Great. And there are many questions or many individuals who have been asking, and they're super, interesting in your career journey. And they just wanted to know how can we get Kanika's portfolio? So you're like, no worries, Kanika is all charged up. Once done, we'll share it with them.
Yeah. My portfolio is a little outdated. I have been procrastinating updating it, so I would not share it at this stage. It's the one I used to get a job at Procreator, and my skills have definitely evolved since then. But yeah, definitely I am in the process of updating my portfolio, and once it's done, I will be putting it on all my social media channels. So do keep a check, and you'll be notified when that's done.
Awesome. What is the difference between graphic designer and UI UX designer?
Well, that is actually a good question, and it might seem like you shouldn't be knowing that, but someone who's starting out will definitely have that question, and I'm glad that whoever asked that, you asked it, because a lot of other people might have that same question. So graphic designer is someone who works on, you could say, illustrations, iconography, videos and animations. They could even work on banners and promotional material, anything related to the product that involves some visuals and some characters that are needed, something that you need to make your product more lively or to market it. That's when a graphic designer comes in. And a UX and UI designer is something who works on the digital aspect of the product, wherein the UX designer is trying to make the structure of that product and solve the problem. And the UI designer is going to work on things like deciding the branding for that. Like ProApp is blue color. Someone decided that. That was a UI designer. And it worked because there is a sense of connect, and there's a lot of thought process behind it, as well as the layouts and the colors and the iconography to some extent. That is decided by the UI designer.
Got it. Okay, so the next one is that could you share with us the ups and downs of being a UX designer?
Okay, that's an interesting question. Like any job, there are definitely not all ups. Like I spoke about, UX design is something you have to work on different industries. So just to give an example, I was working on a law-related product some time back, and now then I had to work in a product which is related to finance and trading. So you are going to be working in different industries, and something I had no idea about law in the past, but I had to learn about it. And that's something you have to constantly do. You have to learn and update yourself, which can be a little scary at times, working in a new industry and learning something new from the start. That is something that you can consider as a down, but someone like me who likes to learn about new things, it's definitely something just interesting. But that sense of nervousness or that doubt in your mind definitely comes when there's a new product which comes in. That is something which is there, that you have to constantly keep learning and evolving. That is something which is a down. And that is again a up too, because by the end I've learned about so many industries. I have so much more knowledge right now because I'm a UX designer, and I have that freedom of working on different products, and I get to see the result of it, the users who are benefiting and the business also that's benefiting from it. So getting to see the result and the impact that you're making is definitely a factor that drives me to do UX and UI design.
Got it. So in case of any financial advice, should I turn to you?
I would say I'm definitely not a financial advisor. Anything UX, you can come to me.
Definitely, yes. So, okay, I'm going to combine two questions. So it's like advice for people with no bachelor's degree, and what are the chances of getting a job in UI UX? As in, what is the future scope? So the first part is advice for people with no bachelor's degree, and the second part is the future scope of UI UX.
Okay, if someone has no bachelor's degree, it doesn't really make a difference. Like I said, employers are just looking for your design skills. It does not matter, honestly. That degree is something which they choose to ignore, and they just look at the portfolio. I have also done hiring for some time, and I do not honestly look at the education background. That doesn't matter. So it does not matter if you don't have a bachelor's degree, and no one cares. You will still get a job. And what are the, coming to the second part of the question, is what are the chances of getting a job? This is a very subjective question. It depends on your skills. And can I guarantee you get a job if you do a course? No, definitely not. You have to put in the time and efforts, and you have to have that design sense and that, I would say, that thing in your mind where you want to solve problems. And if you can do that, you can develop that thought process. You don't have to be born with it. You can definitely develop it. So if you have that passion for design, then you are definitely going to get a job, and someone will hire you and give that chance. One thing I would say is, people who are working in the design field, if you have the passion and you don't have the skills, they are more than willing to help you out and help you learn. I personally have also done that for other individuals. So if you really have that interest in the field, then go ahead, apply for a job, be honest with it, and I'm sure you will find someone that who is willing to teach you and give you an entry-level job.
So the next one is interaction design more important than UX design?
I would just choose to not say yes or no for that. I would, both are equally important. Both have their place, honestly. And something, if there is a feel of motion in a product, this is really important. And that's what recently has been. There are a lot of products, and it's important, and it captures your interest. When you look at something that is moving, or when small things, when you click on a hamburger icon in your phone and it quickly just expands out, that's interesting for you. And it's really a different discipline in itself. It is a little related to UI design, but it is a separate field in itself. And someone who's interested in animations or interaction design, that's an equally important job. It just matters about what you're interested in. If the question is that, do you need to know interaction design to be a UX UI designer, then it's not a necessity. It's just something which is good to know, but you don't need to know it. You can just focus on UX to start with, and then gradually have and learn other secondary skills.
Right. Okay. The next one is, like, I think we all have our creative blocks. So the question is, does a UI designer experiences creative blockages at some point of their life? And if yes, how can they deal with it?
So I would say like 200% yes, you have that creative block. I personally have had it. And I can say everyone that I've worked with has had it. It is going to happen. In any creative field for that matter, it is going to happen. You are going to have that creative block. You're going to hate your designs, some of them when you make them. It is going to happen. But what you have to do is, like, you just have to get feedback, get other people's opinion on it. They will give you some suggestions, and they'll point you in a direction which you might have not thought of, and that will just strike an idea in your mind. And if not, you can even look at references online, see something which you like, draw inspiration from it, and for that matter, just iterate on your designs. Change small things in all of your designs and just look at all the variations. I'm sure you'll find one that you like. So keep iterating, ask for feedback, and look at inspirations. That's what will help you get you out of that creative block.
What do you personally do when you had a creative block in your life or during a project, and you know that, okay, the delivery date is very nearby? So how do you deal with it?
Yeah, first thing, I definitely look for references online. And if I'm on a deadline, then I have some great team members with me. I reach out to them and ask them for feedback, and they tell me something which is not working out or something which is working out. And once they just tell me their opinion about something which is working out, then I can just remove the things which are not working out. So I prefer to just talk to someone who is a UI designer and get their thoughts and feedbacks on it, and accordingly iterate and make a different variation.
Or maybe just have a sip of coffee, like,
yeah,
it's your favorite, right?
Yeah, in case people don't know, I like yeah, that helps too, just taking a break, having a cup of coffee.
Great. Okay. So is product manager and product designer the same?
It is not the same. A product designer is someone who's actually going to be executing and making the designs. It could be a product designer, could even be working on the UX or the UI or both for that matter. A product manager is someone who is managing the product end to end. So the roles and responsibilities could change from company to company, but in the generic form, a product manager just looks for what are the needs of the users, what needs to be done, what is the stage of the development, what is something which is going wrong, how can you market the product better, everything that the product needs, and ensuring things are getting done to make the product a success. That's something which is the roles and responsibilities of a product manager.
Okay, so the next one is from Gaurav. He's asking that he's an IT associate, but he wants to switch to UI UX. How can he move in this era as a newcomer? He has learned and practiced Figma XD and created some prototype, but he's not yet able to figure out like how do we switch to that.
Okay, so I would suggest you should go ahead and take a online course, Gaurav, if you haven't already done it. And if you have the time and resources, go for the offline course if you're still confused and you have mastered the software already. And if you're clear with the thought process and what is the process of UX, then go ahead and apply for that entry-level job. You are going to definitely learn on the job and talking to like-minded individuals who are working on it, and that will help you understand the process better. So work on your portfolio and apply for the job, get the job. That's going to definitely help you. And if you're still a little unsure, then invest the time in doing another course which explains the core aspects. Like if you are more interested in UX, do a course focused on UX, and if you're interested in UI, do a course focused on UI. Just understand it a little more, put your portfolio out there, post it on social media, get other people's feedback. That will help you understand where you're going wrong or something that you need to work on more.
Okay, so this one is from Ashish. He's saying that what questions does a design company expect or ask on your previous employment when your current job field is not at all related to the design industry?
Okay, that's an interesting question. So definitely there is no set template about these are the XYZ 10 questions that they're going to ask. It's going to be different from company to company. But the most common thing which they're going to ask, and which we also ask, is why the switch? Why are you making the switch from another field which is not related to design to UX design? That's something they want to understand, that why have you taken this decision now, and are you sure if this is something that you want to do? Since you're making the switch, they want to know that is UX something which you are really interested in, or you're just doing it because you don't know what else you want to do. So that question you can definitely expect, that why the switch and why UX for that matter, and are you sure that UX is something which you want to do? And yeah, these are the basic 3 questions which they'll ask you. And once they've understood that, then the next thing will be related to UX and understanding your thought process and your portfolio.
Great. I think the next one is almost related to what you have already answered, that to be UI UX designer, what should we learn first? I think that's similar. Learn some course, self-learning, and maybe speak to the UX designer in the team. And
right.
What's your favorite book, Kanika, when it comes to the design industry? And if you, apart from the Bible, what's your favorite book? Like, what motivated you? Which particular book motivated you?
Yeah, so I had the design of everyday things in my college course itself. So that's something which really interested me at that point too. And that point I was not even thinking of making a switch to UX. But when I look back and I realized that that book really captured my interest. So if you want to learn what is user experience in general, not for digital products, but in general too, you can just, I would say, go ahead, read that book, Design of Everyday Things by Don Norman. It's going to give you a great idea, and it's going to make you think about how do products work and how much user experience designers think about things so that they work efficiently. So that's a good book to get started with, and it's going to be recommended by a lot of UX designers.
Okay, so I think I'll take one last question. So it's on what is the status of UX design in India in perspective to UX design in other countries, means where we stand on the standard of world.
Okay, so that's a good question. I obviously cannot speak for all countries because I personally reside in India, so I would know more about India. But in general, I can definitely tell you that UX is a field which is quite in demand, and you will see a lot of hiring posts for it, and it's a lot of people are looking for good UX designers. So it's definitely a field which is in demand and it's doing really well in India. To be honest, initially it was not like Indians didn't really understand what is user experience and what was the importance of it. But now a lot of companies are understanding that they need to understand what the user wants and they need to make their products around the user and not just around what the business wants. So it's gaining a lot of pace in India. So it's definitely something which is coming up, and it's been there in the US and for a long time now, but it's definitely increasing. And I would say, as per my knowledge, it's booming in all the countries right now. So definitely it's a field which evolves. So if you ask me 10 years from now, is the roles and responsibilities of the UX designer going to be same as they are right now? Definitely not. It will evolve. Maybe there'll be more of AR, VR, who knows? But there will always be that aspect of understanding the needs of the user and tailoring experiences for the user. So that's one field which I don't think is going away anytime soon.
I think especially after the COVID era, everyone has gone digital. That's where the need of designers are booming. And once the design evolves, then the experience starts. So it's not that you just created a website and published it and they're digital. I think the experience is something what people actually look for in the digital world as well.
That's a very good point. The COVID era has definitely got a boom to it.
Yeah. So I think, Kanika, that was one amazing workshop, and I'm really, really thankful that I attended it and I got a chance to host it for such amazing audience who were so enthusiastic, and they were like booming all over on Q&As, on conversation, on chats, and I'm very happy to. This is a third workshop, and oh my God, so much of enthusiasm. Okay, so I hope you all learned something new today. Last but not the least, the past 3 workshops have been around building your portfolios, job hunting, and today's workshop was on career switch to UX. Now that we have insights around starting your career as a designer, the next workshop would be by Sandesh. Sandesh conducted the first workshop, which was around designing better portfolios. So the next workshop he's gonna conduct is on the very crucial aspect which every designer is gonna face and is gonna have to deal with in their career. That's the art of client servicing, and that's gonna be held on 20th of November. And my team has already pasted the link on the chat. I think you guys can just go register it. Don't even give it a second thought, and yeah, just get done with it. And I think we'll see you next week on a fourth workshop, which is on making better design decisions. And have a great day, all of you. Thank you, Kanika. Thank you guys for being such a wonderful audience.
Thank you everyone for joining.